Good Wednesday evening, everybody, and welcome to RAMP, Real Access Motivates Progress, live Wednesday night podcast. I am so glad you all decided to join us tonight because we have such a fun show tonight. We are going to be talking about Santa Claus. Yes, you heard me right. Santa Claus in February. We will be talking about the Bristol Santa House and the JDR Foundation. I cannot wait till you guys hear all the wonderful things that these gentlemen are doing with their staff and crew and what they are able to accomplish. So with no further ado, welcome to the show, Mike and Dave. How are you?
Great. Thank you.
Doing great. Thanks for having us, Tina.
Oh, I am so excited to share with the world what I know of the two amazing men that are sitting in front of me tonight. So let's get right into it. Mike, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Well, as you said, I'm Mike Rielly. I am the head elf and chief bottle tester at the James D. Riley Foundation. I founded the organization in 2017 to continue my grandfather's mission, which was to help those in need, in particular our brave men and women in the military, our first responders, and police and law enforcement folks. And we provide charitable and emotional support to them throughout the year. And our tagline is we provide cheer throughout the year. And that's essentially what we try to do. We just try to brighten the lives of folks wherever we can.
And you sure do that. Dave, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
So I'm Dave Scarpino. I am a board member, and I actually met Mike and joined during the pandemic, at the very early stages of the pandemic. I met Mike because we were envisioning a Santa style experience. And because of COVID, we had to bring it into a glass front storefront in town because the children couldn't come directly to Santa. And we started working together, and he invited me onto the board.
Yeah. The idea was to create because you couldn't meet with Santa in person. The idea was to create something similar to what they used to do in the 1940s and the 1950s, where they had these living displays in New York City and in Chicago, in the city, where you'd see these really beautiful Christmas living displays where you'd have either animated mechanisms behind the glass, or you would actually have live actors. And that's essentially what we're trying to do. And at that point, I did not know Dave, and there was this man that kept showing up and saying, "Hey, I want you to borrow my desk. I think it would look great in this set that you're building." And I don't know. He was very persistent, and eventually we got to know each other. And I wanted him to be part of this because he understood the vision. That first step we did, which was the living display, that is, as we described, that was kind of I don't know, maybe a beta test of what we did with the Santa house this past season.
So Tina, so just picture, I'm just meeting Mike, and we're doing this first event in 2020. And he says, my dream has always been to have a Santa house. I've wanted it for the last 10, 15 years. And I kept saying to him, then why don't we do it?
Yeah.
Why don't we do it?
I absolutely love that. Mike, I love the story how the Santa house came to play and how you wanted a Santa house. Can you share a little bit of that with everybody tonight?
Yep, absolutely. So I'm trying to see if I should give this away or not, but let's just say I've been to the Santa Claus School in Midland, Michigan, which is a giant Santa house, but it's essentially a school for Santas. The Charles W. Howard Santa Claus School is the oldest running Santa Claus school in the world. It was founded by Charles W. Howard, who was the very first Santa for Macy's. And he had this idea of that every Santa performer should look similar and act in a similar way, so that children would never really know who was the real Santa, and just wanted to make it a wonderful experience for children. When I went to the school, I don't know, maybe I don't know how many years ago it was, maybe 20 years ago. I had this idea of creating Santa Claus house, but not for a school, but to bring folks into the school, particularly kids with special needs. So if you've ever been to a mall or gone to any uh, situation where children go to see Santa Claus, you know that there's typically a long line. And if it's a mall situation, you normally have like 30 seconds to meet with Santa. And really, it's all about taking the pictures. It's all about the money for the photography studio and and also the Santa. And I wanted to create something different. I wanted something so that children could come and spend as much time as they want with Santa, not charge them for the experience, and really kind of have an immersive type experience, as if you were walking into Santa's workshop. And that's essentially what we created. When you go to the malls or you go to these places where you see Santa, there's typically a line, as I said, and in a lot of instances, kids with special needs, um, for whatever reason, they don't have the opportunity to meet with Santa. Or usually they don't, and it's usually because the line's long, or the children just can't wait, or there's too much going on. And I wanted to create something where they could have their own time and their own space to meet with Santa, or not even meet with Santa, just go in and enjoy the environment. And that's essentially what we created this past season.
And it's absolutely beautiful. Dave, what was your first thoughts when you saw this all done and created of what you guys created for everybody?
I thought it was absolutely amazing. The moment when it opens the doors and you say, this is what we saw. This was Mike's vision. And in talking to me, I saw it immediately. But then when it actually happens, you can't believe that you actually did it. It's just amazing. And then to see those first people coming through the door and they're being, I think, just blown away by its beauty and by its welcomeness. It was fantastic. It was a great feeling.
Yeah, it took.
Absolutely, because when I found out about it, I messaged Mike and I was in that house in like 2 days.
Yeah.
And I could not wait. I was like a little kid in a candy store and I had my own private tour. It was during the day and Santa was not there, but I had my own private tour. And it's gorgeous and it's accessible. And I could roll right up in my wheelchair right through the doors, meet and greet every area of the house itself, take pictures. What an experience. Like, was I not like a little kid in a candy
You
store? Like,
were.
I was in complete awe. I just, hopped on board. I got to meet you and Dave, and it was magical. And I'm a 50-year-old woman, and it was just magical to me that I can't even imagine what the faces of the children were like when they got
Yeah.
to come through and spend a personal 10 to 15 minutes alone with their families with Santa Claus, what that meant to you when you got to open the doors.
Well, and you say I'm a 50-year-old woman, and I have that childlike experience. That's really was a big part of what we were trying to do. It's not just making the child happy. It's about creating memories for not only the child, but also for the parents and the grandparents and their family. And that's what we were trying to do. I have a unique position where I'm watching the child and the family interact with Santa, and I can see the faces of parents, and I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that there were dozens and dozens of parents crying, and family members in tears of joy, where they either older folks maybe remember their childhood and remember meeting Santa for the first time, or seeing their children or grandchildren for the first time meeting with Santa, and it's really is a magical experience, and I can't. It's the best job you could ever have. It honestly is.
Tina, the thing that's so unique about Bristol, Rhode Island, is because it's a very small community. We're less than 25,000 people in town. And many of the folks, I'm a transplant, I'm a New York transplant, but Mike is born and bred and raised in Bristol. When you see parents and grandparents coming in and talking to Santa and saying, I remember as a child sitting on your grandfather's lap when he was Santa, to see that, that's why they get so excited, because there's a
Right.
legacy of Santa in this town.
Uh, it's absolutely music, and what I like is you don't charge anybody for
No.
this service. And the thing is you don't get that one shot with Santa. Parents are allowed to take their cell phones or cameras
Mm.
and take different shots of them interacting with the tree or the toys or the fireplace or just being around the house. It's not just that one picture
Yeah.
on Santa's lap. It's truly the interaction of Santa bending down and talking to them on the floor or getting down to their level or interacting with them. Those pictures are priceless that you will never get at a mall or a shopping center or from a regular Santa,
Mm.
unless they're part of the family. That's just something you don't get. Like I said, this means so much to me, and cannot believe you brought it here, and I am so thrilled. So what are the plans? Like, how did it get here, and what are the plans?
Well, last year, so it magically appeared. We did some fundraising, and really through 100% through donations and our fundraising efforts, we were able to. We essentially what we did is we purchased a tiny house that was just a strip bare bones tiny house. Didn't even have any windows, and we purchased the building, and then we had only had a few weeks to transform it into this magical Christmas experience. And I've, it's funny, I've been collecting things because I knew I was going to do this for years. So I've been collecting things over the years for the longest time. And when I would go to, say, Hobby Lobby, and I would find a 5 foot nutcracker, my wife would say, "Why do you want to buy that?" Because I'm going to use it someday. And that's essentially what we did. So uh, we had decorations, and we used the funds to build and build a ramp for the house and do some other outside decorations and some modeling on the inside. And as I said, transform it into the Santa house. And we placed it on the property, and it magically appeared overnight, and people were coming by and wanting to know what is this, or they thought maybe it was a store, maybe it was some kind of gift shop. um, some people wanted to know if we were selling cookies or stuff out of it. No one knew what it was. We made the announcement what we were doing, and we just it was just overwhelming how many people in really a short amount of time. And the house will magically disappear in a few weeks, and we will bring it back at the end of the season or the beginning of the season.
And you know what, Mike, and if you remember, and for Tina and the audience, the spirit of Christmas really came alive in the community because in the 4 weeks we had from it being dropped to being it transformed,
Mm.
we need to have it painted, put a floor in, put the windows in, um, get the cupola up, build the ramp, get the electric. The community came together, and those craftsmen came to us, and
Yeah,
many of them did it for nothing. It was their
yeah.
donation to the community, which was just spectacular. And even at the last moment, when there was 2 or 3 things that we needed in 2 days to open, people would magically appear. It was really pretty amazing, and it was that spirit of Christmas.
Yeah, I'm glad Dave mentioned that too, because a lot of times we would be looking at each other like, how are we going to get this cupola on top of the building, or what are we going to do for a floor? And it is Christmas miracle. I don't know what. I think we were being guided, but like Dave said, all of a sudden someone would say, "Hey, I'll put a floor in for you. I'll do that for you." Or yeah, I can put this ramp up for you. I mean, it just happened one after another. All these different things kind of fell into place. It really was magical.
You know,
I really believe it. It's like a Hallmark movie.
but in part, Mike, I always said that I felt your grandfather. Now, Mike's grandfather was Santa for many years in the community. I'm sure he can tell you about that. By the way, both grandfather and grandson are in the Santa Hall of Fame. But I always felt that his grandfather was there guiding us and helping us. He was there. He was our guardian,
Yeah,
and he made that path just clear for us all the time.
and he again, the foundation is in his name, and we are doing what he did as Santa. And for those of you that did get to see the Santa house, he was sprinkled throughout the building. His presence was there. There were pictures of him on the wall. I have literally dozens and dozens of plaques going all the way back to the 30s. In recognition of the work that he's done from all kinds of organizations, from the U.S. military to the Elks to the Knights of Columbus, the Boys Club, just all these different organizations. And throughout the building, we sprinkled some of those plaques. We had some of his personal items in there, and it just all fit. It was just he was definitely there.
It's absolutely a 100% magical place. And when you do so much good in the communities, and when people know that you're one, taking care of the most vulnerable and making an experience for them and doing something so good, it's true. The Hallmark movie comes out, the town pulls together, and it just happens. And you guys do amazing things, and you made it happen. And like I said, I was like a little kid in a candy store, and it was amazing. And I wanted to volunteer all year, but with my van crapping the bed on us, it didn't happen. But I will be back next year and bugging you because I am so excited for all of this to happen. So, what are the plans for next year?
The plans are to bring it back. We did meet with the town, and the town gave us permission to bring it back. I was going to say next year, but it's really this year now. We're in 2023. The plan is to bring it back. We will. We want to make some changes to it for the audience, for just so the audience knows. The house was open to the public, so it was open on certain days. But again, our mission was to it was to really to serve those with special needs. So what we did was we set up specific days where kids with and their families could uh, make reservations for time slots, so that they would guarantee that they had the time and the day, so that they could come. On the days that they were open, we literally had a line that went, Dave, like what, 2 blocks? Sometimes it was
Oh,
just,
multiple blocks.
it was unbelievable. But if we did have someone that would show up in a wheelchair, or someone that we could identify that was part of our mission and what we were trying to do, they go right to the front of the line. So one of the things that we're going to change is we'll probably add more days. We want to open it up earlier. Uh, we have to determine how early we can open that. I don't know if that's going to be something we have to talk to the town about. There are some things we want to change as far as the placement of the building on the property. We want to do maybe some landscaping, maybe lower the building a little bit so that we don't even need a ramp this year. And these are things that we still have to kind of work through.
Maybe expand the building.
Oh, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Dave, how has this experience been for you, especially the aftermath of like the changes and learning what the do's and the don'ts were?
I think it was a huge, it was a very, it was like drinking out of a fire hose. We had so much to do in so little time. And the piece we knew the least about was really how to deal with accessibility issues.
Mhm.
And so, number one, we had that challenge. Number two, we were dealing with and inviting children on the spectrum. And each of those folks are individual, and we had to make sure that how we approached them and how they approached us was individualized. So the first thing, obviously, you came down and you were very gracious to give us advice of how to do the ramp, how to make sure that there was ability to turn, there was a radius there. We made sure that the ramp had no one on it while someone was in the house, and it was seamless. So, but I think the thing we learned is that as much as you think every person is individual. They have their own needs, and you have to continue to adjust and adapt to their needs. And I think we did a great job doing it. So I thank you for your help and your advice.
Oh, anytime. Mike, what are your biggest takeaways?
Well, one, the fact that you showed up at a certain time when we needed you, just like when the person showed up for the ramp or the person showed up to paint. It just, I guess I kind of already knew this, is that when there's a need, it will appear, it'll make itself um, visible to you. I think what I learned the most about the house, I mean, I always had this vision, so I knew um, what it looked like in my mind. Um, I sometimes don't have a good way of getting it out of my brain. And that's one of the things I have to probably work on better, is describing it better. I knew what this looked like in my head, and I knew what it was about. So many people just thought it was just pictures of Santa. It was just an opportunity to go get a picture. Just it's another thing like going to the mall or something like that. And so for me to maybe be a better communicator and get the vision out there. I think now that everybody knows what it is, maybe we won't have that much of a issues trying to launch it and get it done again. They welcomed it coming back this year, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
So
will
to,
not have any problems because you have the mouth of the South that
Ah,
is going to make sure that it is seamless and nothing is going to prevent this from opening. Whatever we need to do, we'll make sure it gets done because what you're doing is amazing. And you need to know that you brought joy to so many that don't get to have this. And we thank you. I'm just here to guide and make sure it's done right and that everybody stays off your back, because what you do and what you bring is so much to the community. Dave, you were going to say something?
no, I was going to say to put in reality of what Mike's trying to say about his ability to articulate, he would say, "I need a Santa chair," and you'd send him a picture. How about this one? He go, "Nope, that's not it. What does it look like? I'll know it when I see it." You'd have to go through 10 chairs before I'd say, "Yeah, that's the one." So it was kind of a fun time to go hunting and going, "Okay, what do you think he wants?" I don't know. He doesn't know, but
we
when he sees it, he'll know it.
the windows are a perfect example. We didn't have any windows, but I had a picture in my head what the windows were going to look like. Dave is in New York. I don't know where he
Oh,
was.
it's in Kennebunkport, Maine.
Oh, he's in Maine. And I get a text with a picture. How's this? Perfect. Where are you? I thought he was in his backyard. I'm in Maine.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. So, what are the plans to make sure that we have enough funding and volunteers for next year? What do you have planned to raise some funds, and how can people get involved? Mike?
Well, a couple things. One, starting earlier would be good. We honestly we won't need to raise as much funds as we did last year, and the obvious reason was that we had to purchase the building. We have the building now, and we have the decorations. We'll change some things. We'll add some things. I have some ideas for some visual props and those kinds of things to make it a little nicer. And as I mentioned, we'll probably do some landscaping. So there'll be some expenses there for that. The In regards to volunteers, we had an overwhelming number of people say, "Oh, I want to volunteer. I want to be part of that," and either they don't show up or or something happens. They get sick. I want to do a better job at organizing and managing volunteers, so that might require some software. And the other thing I want to do a little bit better is reaching out to organizations. Where it's part of our core mission that we want to try to help and bring into add to the Santa House, but also managing those reservations. So a lot of that we were trying to do manually. We had some ad hoc software we're trying to use. Maybe we'll get some real reservation software. So a lot of it is just administrative, I think, and just being a little better organized. I'm sure Dave's got a million ideas of how we can spend more money, but we won't need as much funding as we did last year. Dave's probably saying, "Don't say that," but
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. Don't say that. No,
I'm not very good at that.
but Mike, the one thing that, and to Tina's question, the one thing I would change or look into, we didn't have enough time to partner with organizations who share our values and also represent the community that we're targeting.
Yeah.
We
So
just
they're
didn't
reaching
have
out.
time.
Yeah.
That's a huge
Yeah.
task, needs a lot of lead time. So I think that's something we would do earlier and probably a little bit deeper.
Yeah. So the reaching out we were trying to do, like Dave just said, I was trying to reach out a little bit
Yeah.
more to
Well,
organizations.
Well, here's the good thing that you have is you now have a team member who knows these organizations very well, especially mine. So we can help you with that. So that is a
Yeah.
non-problem because you now have a team member that can guide you right through that. So there's no
Yeah.
worries. But tell us a little bit about this car show you guys have planned.
So one of our fundraisers is a car show. This year will be our 6th annual car show and toy drive. So one of the things that we do is each year we hold a classic car show at Mount Hope Farm. It's in August, and that's a big part of our fundraising. And we ask folks that are attending, showing their cars, they can pay $20 to show their car, or they can pay $10 and bring a new and unwrapped toy. Part of our mission is to give away toys to kids in need. We didn't really talk about some of the other things we do with the foundation, but one of the things that we do is we will bring Christmas to a family in need, and those toys come in handy when Santa's trying to put toys under their tree when a family may not have toys that year.
Well, one thing you need to add to that is show up with your custom wheelchair. Because we all have seen my wheelchair, so I could be any custom car and my custom wheels. So you need to add a division of custom wheelchairs, because I'll tell you, we got some fine digs going on out here in our little wheelchairs.
All cars are welcome.
You know what? And Tina, if anybody in your audience has ideas of how they can help us promote and promote themselves during this car show, they can pass those ideas on to us, and maybe we can incorporate them. Obviously, we're looking for things that will draw people to us during the car show.
Yeah, I can definitely do that for you as well. When is the car show?
August 13th. Sunday, August 13th, 9 a.m.
Where is it?
Mount Hope Farm in Bristol.
So everybody keep August 13th, save the date. You will see all of us there and pitch in and help out to make sure that the Santa house comes back bigger and better than ever, because again, this is an experience for those who don't get to have one, and everybody is welcome at the Santa house. And Mike knows Santa very closely. So, so his eyes are always watching the good and the bad. So make sure you show up. But one of the stories that you told me when we first got to meet is how you will do Christmas year round if need be. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned to you earlier, I've had the opportunity a couple times now where I've been asked to visit a family, and they were essentially celebrating Christmas because someone wasn't going to make it to Christmas. So we were in, it was either June or July, maybe, where they knew a family member was not going to make it to Christmas. But they wanted to have a Christmas party, and they wanted to have Santa there, and they wanted to have gifts. I've done that a couple times in my career as Santa, and that's definitely something I will do. Unlike other Santas, I don't charge for what I do. Um, this is not a job. This is not a side gig for me. This is something that I take very seriously. It's something that my grandfather did for 62 years, and it's something that I feel like I'm carrying on his tradition. So that's one of the reasons why I formed the foundation, so that we could raise funds to do things like bring a Christmas to someone, or to have a Thanksgiving dinner brought in. We do things like build ramps for veterans, or we will do a whole new bathroom with accessibility with the roll-in stalls and the handrails and things like that. We will pay off medical bills that aren't being covered by insurance, or we've even helped with burial expenses where it just wasn't covered. So we try to focus on our the folks that we have in our mission, but we will consider anyone and within where we can.
And the J.D. Rielly Foundation is such an amazing year-round organization. And what Mike won't say, but I will say for him, is he also works a very full-time job. So he's at a full-time job all day long, and then he is at the Santa house all night long. And he doesn't charge for anything that he does. That's why this foundation is so important. So they don't charge for anything, but if you have the means, please make a donation. Please help them going, because look at all the amazing things that they do year round for so many. And Mike has a hard time asking. That's why me and Mike mesh so well, because everything I do for Ramp, everybody I knows I do for free of charge, because I just want to get it done and I want more people to be included, and why me and Mike work so well together. But Mike is just one of those people who has a heart of gold. And Dave too, because he puts up with me and Mike, and he makes it all happen on the background, and he's not afraid to ask. Right,
No,
Mike? I mean,
he
right, Dave?
No
Dave's the
problem
one that
asking.
asks. Dave and I, we have more board members than Dave, but Dave and I, it seems to be me and Dave are the ones that are going in, either talking with the town council or talking with different organizations. And the way we introduce ourselves is that um, Dave is the how and I am the why. We will often pitch our ideas that way.
Tina, it's really so easy to ask people for support because what you're asking for is not for yourself. It's for the community. It's those in need. It's so easy to me. I
Yeah.
absolutely never have a problem doing it. It's worthwhile cause. Everything we raise goes toward the foundation.
Yeah, it's also good, important to point out that unlike some nonprofits out there, no one takes a dime on this board. We're not paid. We're 100% volunteer. Much of the expenses come out of our own pockets. I don't send ink or uh, submit receipts for ink or our computers or anything like that through the foundation. The expenses that we have are things like the Santa house and maybe decorations for it or whatever we couldn't get donated. So it's a little different than other nonprofits.
It's
And
so true. We are 100% volunteer as well. We don't take a dime for anything that we do, but you always, like you said, have those few board members that go above and beyond. But it's easy to ask for something that's so important. It's
Mm,
easy to fundraise for others that so need the accommodations or so need these experiences. So I get exactly where you're coming from because this community needs to be seen, heard, and loved just like everybody else. And what you do is amazing. Go ahead, Dave.
no, I was going to say for me it's special too because not only do I work with Mike and his lovely wife and the whole group, the whole board is special, but my daughter does it. So my daughter is on the board also, and it's nice for me to see her sense of giving and her sense of community. And at her age, she's in her early 30s, but at her age to be able to see that and see that legacy passed on, similar to Mike and his grandfather,
mm,
is really very heartwarming to me.
mm.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what you guys do. So tell us a little more of what the JDR Foundation has going on this year, other than the car.
Other than the car show, well, as Dave said, I have a full time job, so there's not a lot of time to do other fundraising other than the few things that we do. We do work with other organizations, nonprofit organizations. There's a couple in town that we will support through either donations ourselves or we will volunteer for their organizations. So we do help out with other community organizations as well.
Mike he didn't mention it, but he's also the town crier. And he
Yes.
leads the 4th of July parade.
So
Oh, that's awesome.
I have the best job in the world. I get to lead the 4th of July parade in the most patriotic town in America, and I get to be Santa Claus.
So
Oh, that's awesome.
just a side note, the 4th of July parade in Bristol is known officially as the longest continuous 4th of July parade in the nation.
Yeah.
And I believe it's probably 240, I don't know if it's a 3 or 4.
I think
240.
we should know this for, I
We
think.
should.
Another interesting note is my grandfather was our first ceremonial town crier. So the town of Bristol obviously had town criers in the 1600s and 1700s. Um, but in 1975, or I should say in 1897, the last elected town crier, the position was abolished, and in 1975, my grandfather was asked to be the unofficial or ceremonial town crier. So he was our first town crier. He led the parade for many years. Another gentleman took over after my grandfather passed away. And then when that gentleman, Jerry McNeil, when he retired in 2015, they asked me if I would take up the role as town crier. And I figured I would have to at this point. So
Well, well,
it was just like,
well, maybe then, yeah, well, maybe then I have a good in to actually get into the parade knowing the town crier. So I'm hoping,
I have no pull.
the
I'm
town,
just ceremonial.
well, maybe between you and Dave, can happen because I wanted to be in the parade this year, but it just didn't work out or happen. So we're hoping that next year that I'll get to roll in your beautiful parade this year as well.
So
Dave,
Tina, I have a saying similar to you. I am very strong-willed, and my saying is, "How do we get to yes?" So my quest is, how do we get you in the parade? I have a feeling it.
Yeah, oh, I cannot wait. And once I am rolling again, I will be down in Bristol a lot because I want to know the ins and outs of Bristol. When I was asked by Mike to come down and check out the house, I was so excited. I was literally there 2.5 hours early that I rolled around the entire 2 blocks around the house, checking the accessibility, looking at things going on, seeing how we can fix things, talking to business owners with very pleasant feedback from them and working with them. So my focus isn't just the house, but it's if you're bringing disabled community down there or the disability community down there, they want to enjoy Bristol.
yeah.
So we're going to make sure that Bristol opens its doors and welcomes them with open arms year round. So once I'm rolling, you'll be seeing me a lot in Bristol. Besides the fact of the beautiful view, I told you I'm living in the Santa house on the off months because open the doors and you got the beautiful view of the bay. So yeah, I could live there year round. So no problems.
I think, Tina, the other thing that's important and the value of what you bring to this relationship and to the relationships of a lot of your viewers, when you talk about accessibility, many people see it through a variety of prisms. So when you're in town, you're dealing with building inspectors, administrators, you're dealing with the state, you're dealing with businesses, you're dealing with advocacy groups. Everybody sees it a little bit differently. And you have to make sure you don't get caught up in over-analyzing it and then not doing anything because you feel overwhelmed. And going to somebody who has your background and getting help with that advocacy absolutely helps. It
Yeah.
clears away a lot of the dust.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Dave mentioned something that I just wanted to pick up on, and that is I can see why businesses or organizations would just give up because you can very easily be overwhelmed with all the suggestions. They're not necessarily requirements, but they're suggestions, guidelines, recommendations. You can get very overwhelmed, and I can see where a business would say, you know what, this is just not, it's not worth it to me. I can't figure it out, or it's just too confusing. It's too difficult to do to comply,
The cost.
and yeah, all the cost, right? And I could absolutely see that. So that's why I really value you, Tina, where you can kind of cut through all that and say, well, yeah, this is recommended, this is a guideline, but you don't need this. This is
Yeah.
what you need. You know, those
Yeah.
types of things.
The way I look at it and the way Ramp has been so successful is something is better than nothing. So,
Yes.
yes, would we like you to be completely 100% ADA compliant? Yes. In the end, we want the right to get in and we want the right to pee. Other than that, we're good.
Yes.
As long as something is better than nothing. If you're putting suitcase ramps out for your 1 or 2 steps in Bristol, because that's what a lot of the businesses have. Are they fully ADA compliant? No, but are you letting more and more people into your establishment, raising your bottom line to have that extra capital to go fully ADA compliant down the road? And
Hmm.
accessibility isn't ugly. It can add value. You can do artwork. You can do beautiful historic things. I've turned historic theaters into fully accessible and you wouldn't even know it. So accessibility, the important part of it is something is better than nothing. Bring us down. It's free of charge. We will hold your hand. We will guide you. We will show you the tax breaks. We will show you the grants that are out there. We will tell people nicely with a smile, with a virtual slap to the back of the head, like, you don't really need to do that. We just want to get in. That's it. And you can do it in such a nice way where people will welcome you back and welcome to talk to you. And it's not a huge expense or cost all at once.
Yeah.
So, and regulators can be intimidating sometimes. So anybody out there who's thinking of doing it, don't give up because it seems daunting. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Reach out, get help, and it'll make it a hell of a lot easier for you. So we learned that lesson. Thank you.
Yeah, I am so excited that I can help out with that. And I work all over the state of Rhode Island, so anybody can call me up and I will come down. Well, when I'm rolling again, I will be able to come down and help you out. But you know what? I have done a lot of places virtually in the last couple of months
Yeah.
where I said, you know what? Go get your camera, go put it on FaceTime, and let's walk through the problem. Let's see where we can figure out the problem. A lot of the times I can do that. It's not as good as being there, but it's something. Again, something is better than nothing. So try, do something, and you will be letting in the most amazing, funny, hardworking, dedicated community ever out there, because we always have something to prove. And when you get to meet amazing men like the two men that are in front of me, it makes it all worth it. Dave, give us your 1 minute wrap up why people should get involved with the JDR Foundation and the Bristol Santa House.
I think it's pretty easy. Giving to others, whether it's your talents, your time, your money, makes you feel so good. It really is. It's a heartwarming feeling, and it's so rewarding. I get back 10 times what I give. So give generously.
Mike, same question.
My grandfather had a saying that he used to say, and that was that anyone can be Santa if they have the right stuff inside. And I really think it comes from the heart. People think that Santa comes down the chimney. He doesn't come down the chimney. He comes through the heart, and that's really what we're about. That's really what we're trying to do. Um, we're not trying to change the world. We're just trying to brighten lives. We're just trying to make people smile and make people feel better. As I said, we're not this huge nonprofit that has millions and millions of dollars and we're building homes for people. We're just trying to help people where we can, and just brighten their lives.
And you are changing the world, because you're changing the world for those people that you touch every single day. And again, we can't thank you enough for what you do, because you both have a heart of gold. And I completely felt like I meshed. We talked for hours the night that I showed up. We started in the daylight, we ended up in the dark, but we had a lot of fun and a lot of laughs going through it. And now you guys are stuck with me. So we can't thank you enough for what you do and for everything that you say. You're not a large nonprofit, but you're doing the best thing. How many places can you go to in 2023 that doesn't charge to make these amazing experiences that people will remember for a lifetime? Nobody. Everybody feels that you have to charge for everything that you do to have value. You have all of the value in the world and you charge nothing. So that is a myth to people. It's all in what you put out there. You get 3 times as much back. Dave, you couldn't have said it any better yourself.
Yeah, and if you met the rest of our board members, we're a very small board, but everybody has the same focus. They have the same passion. They have the same heart of giving. So it's amazing when we get together. It's easy. They're the easiest meetings I've ever been to in my life, because everybody sees the same vision, and it's really it's an absolute pleasure to serve.
Well, I can't wait to get your board and my board together to make really bigger and better miracles happen, because I am so looking forward to this. I cannot thank you guys both enough to taking the time out and telling everybody about your dream and your vision that you brought to life and the experiences that you brought to so many. So everybody, Michael, give us the contact information, the websites,
Sure.
and everything people need to know.
So you can learn more about our organization and who we help and what we're all about. You can go to our website at www.jdrfoundation.org. From there, you can get to our Facebook page and our Instagram and all that. But really, just go to our website, jdrfoundation.org.
And if you don't think you can find it, guess what? You can contact me and message me, because everybody knows where to find me. And I can put you in touch with these amazing men and get you to everything that you need to get to. So go to their foundation, donate, help out, volunteer, show up, see it, give something back. You will not be disappointed. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for taking the time tonight, sharing so much with us. I truly appreciate both of you. Thank you.
Oh, we
Thank you,
love
Tina.
you. Thank you, Tina.
And we can't wait to have everybody back here next Wednesday night, same time, same channel. We will be talking to Molina Healthcare next week. So get all of your healthcare information right here on RAMP. Real Access Motivates Progress. And like I always say, don't just sit there, make a difference. Have a great night, everybody.